John F. Kennedy opened his campaign in the West Virginia primary with a press conference on the steps of the state capitol in Charleston. What the senator said at the Capitol is of utmost importance to every West Virginian. And that, of course, means you. Let's listen.
We start today what may be one of the most important primaries in the United States. A primary which will have an effect, I think, in every state, and which will also be felt, I think, at the Los Angeles Convention. The great issue confronting West Virginia in 1960, and in a sense, one of the great issues confronting the entire United States, of course, is economic development. And it is an issue to which I have devoted a substantial amount of the 14 years that I've spent in the Congress of the United States. West Virginia has in some ways the same economic problems that were held by my own state of Massachusetts in the days immediately after the end of World War II. The economy of Massachusetts depended completely, basically, on the cotton and textile industries, which were liquidated and which left Massachusetts and moved to other areas. The great problem, therefore, that we have had in the last 10 years is to try to replace those old industries, the old mill towns, Lawrence and Lowell and Fall River and New Bedford and Adams and all the rest, to replace them with new industries. We have begun to do it, but it is, of course, been obvious for a good many years that the federal government has not played a role commensurate with its authority, responsibility, and opportunity. The chief burden has been maintained in Massachusetts, as it has in this state of West Virginia, by local groups, local development groups, by community and counties, and by the state. I must say that West Virginia will, in the future, continue to have to play a role in meeting its economic problems. But as a member of the Labor Committee for 14 years, I strongly believe that the federal government has a great role to play in the channeling of defense contracts, in federal minimum standards for the payment of unemployment compensation, a bill which I have offered in successive Congresses since 1954, the passage of an effective minimum wage law, which I now co-sponsor with Senator Morse and Congressman Jimmy Roosevelt in the House, with adequate coverage for those who are not now covered, the area redevelopment bill, which came out of the Labor Committee and which I managed on the floor of the Senate the first time it passed several years ago. I must say that I think that there are a great many things that can be done. And I must say also that those things fall across the desk of the next president. It's all right for the members of the Congress to try, and for members of the Senate, which they have in both bodies from this state. But in the final analysis, action in our country depends upon the president. He can veto bills, as he did the area redevelopment bill and the coal research bill. He can discourage it and tie it up in committees. He can fail to recommend action. He can fail to provide, for example, for manpower policy number 4, which provides that those areas suffering from unemployment shall receive preference in the disposition of defense contracts. All of these things come to rest on the desk of the next president. So I run for the presidency after 14 years in the Congress with full realization of its opportunities and responsibilities. I come here to this state on this occasion asking for your support. I am one of 2 candidates in the primary in West Virginia. There are no delegates at stake. Whoever wins the primary does not pick up a delegate. But it is a primary which will have great influence. And I come here today on the state capitol, initiating this campaign and requesting support in this primary for a vigorous and hard-hitting campaign, which I think can be successful in Los Angeles and, more important, successful in November. Thank you very much.
When you vote, remember Senator Kennedy is the only Democrat who has been regularly chosen over Nixon in all major nationwide polls.
Mr. Kennedy, what is your position on this medical aid for the aged?
Well, the medical aid for the aged bill has been introduced in the House of Representatives by Congressman Farrand, and I've introduced it in the United States Senate. The Farrand bill provides that those who are on Social Security, contributing to Social Security, shall make a contribution so that when they are 65 years of age and over if they're men, 62 if they're women, or if they're over 50 if they're totally disabled, they can receive assistance from the fund in paying their hospitalization, paying the cost of their examination and drugs, and also receiving some assistance in paying their general medical bills. I must say I think that the program is essential. I'm Vice Chairman of the Committee of Aging of the Senate, and there are a good many hundreds of thousands of people in this state and others who are over 65. Many of them are chronically ill. They've exhausted their savings. They have no help except to go on the community. This way they're permitted to participate during their working years and get assistance afterwards. I therefore support strongly the bill and have introduced the companion bill in the Senate. There are two other provisions which I think should have been part of the bill. The first is the so-called Title III, which gives the Attorney General the power to enforce suits to compel the extension of rights to all Americans in other areas besides voting. The second is to provide assistance to those communities which are trying to meet the order of the federal court, but which are hard-pressed economically. I think those two provisions would have been useful. I do think that the voting provision, however, is a essential bill. We tried to do it in 57. We're unsuccessful. I must say I think this bill is going to help, even though I wish there had been these other provisions in it.
You would be divided between two loyalties to your church and to your state if you were to be elected president.
The question is whether I think that if I were elected president, I would be divided between two loyalties, my church and my state. Let me just say that I would not. I have sworn to uphold the Constitution in the 14 years I've been in Congress. In the years I was in the service, the Constitution provides in the First Amendment that Congress shall make no laws abridging the freedom of religion. I must say I believe in it. I think it's the only way that this country can go ahead. Many countries do not believe in it. Many countries have unity between church and state. I would be completely opposed to it. And I say that whether I'm elected president or whether I continue as a senator or whether I'm a citizen. That is my view based on a long experience. So in answer to your question, I would fulfill my oath of office, as I have done for 14 years in the Congress. There is no article of my faith that would in any way inhibit. I think it encourages the meeting of my oath of office. And whether you vote for me or not, because of my competence to be president, I am sure that here in this state of West Virginia, that no one believes that I'd be a candidate for the presidency if I didn't think I could meet my oath of office. Secondly, Article 6 of the Constitution says there shall be no religious test for office. That's what was written in the Constitution. Jefferson, Washington, and all the rest. They said every American will have an opportunity. Now, you cannot tell me that the day I was born it was said I can never run for president because I wouldn't meet my oath of office. I came to the state of West Virginia, which has fewer numbers of my co-religionists than any state in the Union. I would not have come here if I didn't feel that I was going to get complete opportunity to run for office as a fellow American in this state. I would not run for it if in any way I didn't feel that I could do the job. So I come here today saying that I think that this is an issue which shall be